In our rental company at the Nurburgring, we have about 20-25 cars available for rent, which are daily being driven, all of them, or close to all of them. So you can imagine it's a lot of cars doing a lot of driving on the Nurburgring. So once in a while, people do crash as well. When people crash on the Nurburgring, whether it's in our rental cars or even in their own cars, the result is the same. It's kind of the same, apart from that the rental cars have an actual cap of liability, whereas your own car has no cap of liability. This is a big one because insurance policy in Germany changed actually this year, where you simply cannot be insured anymore on the Nürburgring. This is the long story cut very short. There is still ways to do it, but this is a very long and complicated legal thing, which I am not too knowledgeable about because I'm not a lawyer and definitely not an insurance lawyer. So this is all very boring as well to explain, but just go from the fact that you're not insured, because that's how it is in 99.9% of the cases. Crashing at the Nürburgring is expensive, as in really expensive, like six-figure expensive if you really want to, actually. The internet is full of stories with barrier bills of the Nürburgring, and I had to pay like this amount per hour that the Nürburgring was closed. This is all not true at all. I will first state the factual things, and that is that no, the Nürburgring does not charge you for closing time. If you crash on the Nürburgring and the track needs to close, you are not responsible for that. That's it, or at least not financially. Everybody who ever claimed to pay 2,500, 5,000. I've even seen on Reddit numbers going to the 5 figures, 12, 15,000 per hour that the Nürburgring is closed because they crashed. Not true. Never happened. Never will happen, by the way. They simply can't count that. How much money do they really lose? How much can they charge you for it? It's simply impossible. So it really is not true. Now, the barrier damages, those are true, and they are expensive. If you crash your car on the Nürburgring, you damage their property because it is a privately owned piece of property and you'll need to pay for it. Now, in most cases, your third-party liability insurance will kind of pay up for that. Depending which country you're from, they can come back to you basically and claim the money back because you were not insured to drive on the Nürburgring. That's why, to say it easy, you're not insured at all. Barriers are like 128 euros and 70 cents at the moment per meter of barrier that you hit. You cannot hit 1 meter of barrier because we have 4 meter in lengths and there are 3 barriers on top of each other. It's going to be difficult to hit just the middle one. You're always going to have all 3 of them. So the minimum is like 12 meters. We call this 1 barrier, which is 12 meters of actual barrier. So do 12 times 128.70 cents, and there you have your number of what every impact will cost you, which is about, 1,600 euros. On top of that, obviously, there is barrier posts, which actually hold the barriers. So these cost like 90 euros each. So you're going to damage 4 per barrier as well. Then we have the track marshals, which needs to come to you to wave the yellow flag for your accident. And that's now 157 euros per time that they need to come, actually. Then you get the towing, which is always the same price. Again, their horror stories exist on the internet that they pay thousands for the towing. Not true. It's fixed prices. It's always the same number. No, the towing company is not scamming you. It is simply that's what it costs for everybody. It's the same. This is actually a small story, which is an internet hoax about the Nürburgring, crashing at the Nürburgring. Everybody believes that it can bankrupt you. Yes, it can, but it won't in reality. So it's not something that people should be too scared of. Is it expensive? Yes, it is. But running your car on a racetrack is expensive. If you can't afford the 1,600 euro barrier bill, which is actually the real average, you shouldn't be doing that hobby maybe. That's kind of how I look at it. It's the same as if you want to buy a cool car, let's say like a GT3 or GT3 RS Porsche, and you can't pay the 12,500 euro brake disc change, maybe you should not buy such a car. So it's the same with crashing on the Nürburgring. If you're too scared of losing 1,600 euros because you damaged your car, do a different hobby. Like, don't do that then. We had a guy crashing one of our Golf GTIs, and he managed to mix up the throttle and the brake pedal in one of the fastest corners of the track, which is always a very fantastic thing to do. And he kind of rolled the car a few times. Now, luckily, all cars have roll cages, so both the driver and the passenger got out unharmed, unscuffed, nothing happened to them. But that was the biggest barrier bill that I've ever had. So we, as the owner of the car, we get these bills from the barrier actually. The way this works is whenever one of our cars crashes, the Nurburgring calls me up and they say, hey Ray, one of your cars crashed, blah, blah, blah. They made some damages on the barriers. This is how much it is. So this is like their at the spot estimate of what the barrier bill is going to be like. So we can charge this to our customers. Now we get the actual invoice like 3 months later. That's how bureaucracy works, obviously. It takes time. Now, the numbers that I've been told are spot on to what's on the invoice afterwards. It was in 1 or 2 occasions, I think, in the last 10 years that it was, in the positive way, different. Now, with the Golf crash, the car wasn't even back yet because I had no idea what actually happened. I only know car rolled over, people are fine, lots and lots of damage to the barriers and to the car, obviously. And they told me on the phone, they said, yeah, it's going to be about 12 grand. And I'm like, holy, that's like the biggest. I've never had 12 grand in barrier damages in none of our rental cars. Never seen this before. I only heard horror stories of other people, which I always said this isn't true because, you know, we have this rental car company and we have so many cars and so many crashes. I've seen it all, right? But this guy, which happened this year, actually, he topped it off. That was the worst I've ever seen. This was rolling a car on top of the barrier for many, many, many meters, right? And he even took out an FIA fence. So the car literally flew in the air, hit the FIA fence, landed on top of the barriers and kept on rolling. The chances that somebody would do that is like very small. Like from all the crashes at the Nurburgring, less than 0.01% are that type of crashes. That's like the worst of the crashes ever. And that's a 12.5K barrier bill. So if somebody would tell me or tell the interwebs that, hey, I've seen a 20 grand barrier bill, I say, no way, can't be. You can't crash that much. Although we had quite some crashes over the past years because it's just a matter of statistics, right? We never had a single injury actually, apart from one time where some piece of glass cut somebody's arm, but that was like scuff. But we never had fatalities in our rental cars, and hopefully it will never happen. But not even like a light injury, let's say, like light to middle injury never happened actually in our rental cars. Cars are also very safe these days, you know. So even although all our cars have like full roll cages and bucket seats and 6-point harnesses and whatsoever, even cars without them, modern cars with their airbags and everything, it's so safe these days. I've seen normal cars crashing at it way over 120 miles an hour and people walked out of there with or without a helmet on the Nurburgring. This is another topic which the internet is like divided into 17 different groups, right? For me, it's very simple. Me personally, I don't go on any racetrack without a helmet. I have this personal point, and I'm not saying this is the exact correct way, but that's my personal preference. Me living for more than 10 years at the Nurburgring, I've seen many bad crashes, and not in our rental cars, but in people crashing their own cars, which the worst of one was a big rollover at the fastest corner of the track. It was a British E46 M3, where the roof collapsed on the left side A and B pillar and on the right side A and B pillar, which kind of causes the roof to do that. And both the driver and the passenger got squashed by their own car. Now, that was a normal car without a roll cage, and both were not wearing a helmet, and sadly, the passenger nearly died, actually. This is one of those crashes where I say nothing could have helped them. And that was the sad part, how it happened and how the car rolled and landed on the A and B pillar, and it kind of, you know, this is bad luck. But most crashes, you're better off wearing a helmet, especially in a caged car. So this is the misconception, at least, that people have. So there is 2 types of people. Group A says, no, you should not wear a helmet because you cannot wear the Hans system on tourist drives. Because you should only wear a helmet when the Hans system is there as well. Because you will get a neck injury if you don't wear the Hans system with a helmet, because now your head becomes like half a pound heavier, you know? Like whatever, fair point. But then I think like with a roll cage and the way that 6-point harnesses actually work. So even with 6-point harnesses, the reason why they don't fail is because they stretch a little bit. So at a high-speed impact, those belts will move like, let's say, 2-3/4 of an inch. You think you're not going to hit the cage, but you will hit the cage at a heavy impact. There is my argument. Do you want to live as a vegetable or with neck pain? That's the difference with a helmet and without a helmet. So in a caged car, 100% wear a helmet, with or without Hans.
Long-term viewers of the VINwiki channel will remember that years ago I joined with Sonny the Lamboa to explain that Avalon King's DIY ceramic coatings are not, in fact, snake oil. But now I've got Leo the Lamboa here to talk about Avalon King's latest offer. Their AS9 DIY ceramic coating for a limited time is just $59.99 at the link in the description below. And the first 100 orders will also get their Armor Shield Light Spray. It's a $34.99 value that makes it easier to put on and level out the coating, and it also gives you the same hydrophobic protection in an easier to use, easier to apply, easier to live with on a daily basis spray. So check them out now at the link in the description below to get the best discount we've ever offered on Avalon King products.